The sun drifted slowly behind the mountains. Moonlight Creek flowed quietly through the valley, its surface glowing beneath the golden light of dusk. An old man sat alone on a weathered wooden bench beside the water. His silver hair shimmered softly in the evening breeze. Children ran past him, laughing. Neighbors greeted him with warm smiles. Some tipped their hats. Others stopped for a few words before continuing home. The old man returned every greeting with the same gentle smile. To the town. He had always been part of Moonlight Falls. No one seemed to remember a time before him. A little girl ran over and climbed onto the bench beside him.
Grandpa, our teacher talked about you again today.
Did she?
She said you saved Moonlight Falls.
The old man chuckled and shook his head.
Your teacher likes to make old stories sound bigger than they really were.
She also said you and Grandma are the greatest love story this town has ever known.
The smile on the old man's face lingered. His eyes drifted toward the creek. For a long moment, he said nothing. The children waited patiently. Finally, the little girl asked in a quiet voice,
Grandpa, did Grandma fall in love with you the first time she met you?
The old man laughed softly. There was warmth in his eyes. And something else. A memory that had never truly faded. He slowly shook his head.
Remember the first time she met me? She wished she would never see me again.
The children stared at him in disbelief.
Why?
The old man did not answer. Instead, he rose slowly to his feet. His gaze rested on the quiet creek before him. The evening wind swept across the water. Dark clouds gathered above the valley. A single raindrop struck the surface of the creek. Then another. The old man smiled to himself, almost as if he had been waiting for the rain.
Because back then, I was the last vampire of the Blackwood family.
Lightning tore across the darkening sky. Thunder rolled through the valley. Rain crashed down without warning. The peaceful evening disappeared beneath the storm. 17 years earlier, rain fell without mercy. It drummed against the cedar trees. It washed over old stones. It swallowed every sound except the rushing creek below. A woman ran through the forest. Her breathing was uneven. Mud clung to her boots. Thin branches tore at her coat. She never looked behind for long. Every time she did, she ran faster. She carried an old camera against her chest. In her other hand was a weathered metal box. Lightning split the sky. For a single heartbeat, the forest turned white. The bridge appeared, old wooden, half hidden by fog. Emily Parker stumbled onto the first plank. The bridge groaned beneath her weight. She stopped in the middle. The creek below reflected nothing, no moon, no stars. Only darkness flowing beneath the bridge. Emily looked back. The forest stood perfectly still, too still.
I know you were there.
Only rain answered. Emily crossed to the opposite bank. She knelt beneath an enormous cedar tree. Its roots rose from the earth like old hands protecting a secret. She opened the metal box. Inside rested a silver key shaped like a crescent moon. A roll of undeveloped film. A small cassette tape. Emily touched each object gently, almost like saying goodbye. She picked up the tape recorder hanging around her neck. The tiny red light blinked. She hesitated, then smiled sadly.
Ava.
Her voice cracked. She stopped the recording, closed her eyes, tried again.
If you ever come back.
She listened. Nothing, only rain, only wind. She continued.
Trust your heart before anyone else's.
A branch snapped somewhere behind her. Emily looked up instantly. Her eyes searched the darkness between the trees. She whispered without turning around.
I know you are listening.
Silence. Emily placed the recorder inside the box beside the film and key. She buried everything beneath the cedar roots with trembling hands, covered the disturbed earth with wet leaves. When she finished, she rested one hand against the trunk.
Keep her safe.
A cold voice drifted through the rain calm. Gentle, almost kind.
You were always too curious, Emily.
She stood slowly. Rain ran across her face. She showed no surprise, only disappointment.
I hoped you wouldn't find me.
You knew I would.
I also know you are already too late.
Victor stepped from the shadows, an older man. Perfectly dressed despite the storm. His silver cane sank lightly into the mud. His smile never reached his eyes.
You've hidden something.
Yes?
Where?
Emily smiled. It was small, defiant.
If you couldn't stop me, you'll never find it.
Victor sighed, almost sadly.
You've always underestimated patience.
3 slow knocks echoed through the forest. Knock, knock, knock. Emily's smile disappeared. She turned toward the bridge. Nobody stood there. The bridge was empty. The knocking came again. Closer, knock, knock, knock. Emily looked back toward Victor. He had vanished. The rain became strangely quiet. Every sound disappeared, even the creak. Emily took one slow step backward, another. The camera slipped from her shoulder. It struck a stone. The shutter fired by itself. A bright flash filled the night. For one frozen instant, the photograph captured 3 figures, Emily, Victor, and someone standing deep inside the forest, watching. Then darkness swallowed everything. 17 years later, rain greeted Moonlight Falls once again. Ava Parker hated cardboard boxes. They made everything feel temporary. Every room became a waiting room. Every shelf looked like someone else's. She sat cross-legged on the floor of her bedroom, surrounded by half-filled boxes she had stopped pretending to organize. One box held books. Another held camera lenses inherited from a mother she barely remembered. A third contained clothes she had simply thrown inside after giving up. Outside, rain slid down the bedroom window. Settle looked exactly the way it always had. Gray, comfortably predictable. Someone knocked once. Not the front door. Her bedroom door.
Ava.
It is open?
Thomas stood in the doorway. He looked tired. Not from work, not from driving. Tired in the way people looked after carrying the same memory for too many years. He wore an old brown jacket Ava had not seen since she was little. It made him look older, and somehow more familiar.
How is the packing?
Emotionally or physically?
Either.
One is impossible, the other is getting worse.
Thomas looked around the room. Only half the shelves were empty. The walls were still covered with photographs. Most had been taken by Emily. Clouds, rain, lighthouses, old streets, people laughing when they didn't know a camera was nearby. Thomas picked up one framed picture. Emily stood on a beach holding a camera toward him. She wasn't looking at the ocean. She was looking at Thomas, like nothing else existed. He placed the frame back exactly where he had found it.
We should leave early tomorrow.
You keep saying that?
We should.
You also keep avoiding the real conversation.
Thomas sighed. He had expected this. Maybe hoped she would wait until dinner.
Why are we leaving Seattle?
I accepted the sheriff position.
I know, that is the excuse. I am asking for the reason.
Thomas leaned against the doorframe. He looked out the window instead of at her.
It was time.
For what?
To go home.
You've never called it home.
Silence. Thomas finally met her eyes.
People change.
Not this much.
She stood, crossed the room, folded her arms.
You hated Moonlight Falls. You never talked about your childhood. You refused every invitation to visit. You wouldn't even let me look it up online. And suddenly, we're moving back?
Thomas rubbed one hand across his face.
This is about Mom?
Number.
You answered too fast.
It isn't.
Then look me in the eye and tell me she has nothing to do with this.
Thomas tried. He couldn't. His eyes drifted toward the photograph again. Emily's smile seemed almost alive inside the frame.
I can't.
Ava's expression softened. Only slightly.
So it is?
It isn't only about her.
But it started because of her.
Thomas nodded once, barely. It was enough.
Did somebody find something?
Thomas hesitated. Too long.
Somebody contacted you.
Number.
You are lying.
I am not.
You blink every time you lie?
Thomas almost smiled.
I do not.
There, you just did it again.
For a brief second, they looked almost like every ordinary father and daughter. Then the moment disappeared. Thomas reached into his jacket. Ava's heart lifted. Maybe this was finally it. Maybe after 17 years, he placed a folded map on the desk. Not a letter, not a photograph, only a road map.
I actually hate you a little.
I know.
You made me think you were finally telling me something.
Tomorrow is going to be a long drive.
Ava laughed despite herself. Only once. Then she became serious again.
When I was little, did Mom leave?
Thomas froze. The rain outside sounded louder. He answered without thinking.
Number.
How can you be sure?
Because she loved you.
People who love someone still leave.
Not her.
You sound certain.
I am.
His voice carried something Ava had not heard in years. Faith, not hope, not denial. Faith.
Then what happened?
Thomas looked toward the hallway, towered the front door, towered anywhere except his daughter.
I don't know.
You've been saying that for 17 years.
Because it is still true.
He walked toward the door, stopped. Without turning around, he spoke quietly.
If I could have traded places with her, I would have.
Then he left. Ava remained standing beside the window. She had heard many versions of silence from her father. This one hurt the most, because she believed him. She looked across the room. A small cardboard box sat beneath her bed. Emily, written across the top in faded marker. Thomas had never opened it. Neither had she. Not once. Ava slowly pulled it into the light. She lifted the lid. Inside lay an old camera strap, several postcards, a dried sprig of lavender, and one photograph. She picked it up. The image showed a lighthouse above rough water, nothing unusual. She turned it over. Emily's handwriting covered the back, Moonlight Falls. Before the rain. Ava frowned. Before what rain? She had never heard Emily describe weather that way. She slipped the photograph into her backpack. Something else rested beneath it. An old silver film canister, still sealed. Never developed. Ava held it toward the window. Whatever Emily had photographed, no one had ever seen. Downstairs, the front door opened. Thomas stepped outside. A car engine stopped in front of the house. Curious, Ava moved quietly to the window. A black sedan waited beside the curb. She could not see the driver's face. Thomas walked to the car. The driver handed him a large brown envelope. No words, no handshake. Only the envelope. Thomas looked back toward the house before slipping it beneath his jacket. Then the sedan drove away. Ava watched until it disappeared around the corner. Her heartbeat had quickened. He had lied. Simone had contacted him. Simone wanted him to return to Moonlight Falls. She heard the front door open again. Quick footsteps crossed the hallway. Then a drawer slid open downstairs. Locked. Closed again. Ava looked once more at the undeveloped film in her hand, then toward the floor below. Whatever was inside that envelope, it had changed everything. And tomorrow, they were going home. They left Seattle before sunrise. The city was still asleep. Streetlights shimmered across wet pavement. Coffee shops had only begun unlocking their doors. Thomas drove. Ava sat beside him with her backpack on her lap. Inside the backpack rested two things she had not packed with the others. Emily's photograph. The undeveloped roll of film. Everything else had gone into boxes. Those two belonged with her. The windshield wipers swept steadily across the glass. Rain pause. Rain again. Thomas reached for the radio. Static. He tried another station. Country music for 3 seconds. More static. He turned it off.
That was inspiring.
It gets better outside the city.
So does the radio.
Thomas smiled barely. It disappeared almost immediately. The highway stretched north between endless evergreens. Fog drifted low across the road. Saddle slowly disappeared behind them. Neither spoke for several miles. Ava watched familiar exits pass one by one. The bookstore where Emily used to take her. The park where Thomas had taught her to ride a bicycle. The bakery that still made cinnamon rolls every Saturday morning. Each place slipped behind them until only trees remained.
Do you ever regret leaving?
Thomas kept his eyes on the road.
Seattle?
Number, Moonlight Falls.
Thomas took longer than usual to answer.
Every day.
Then why are we going back?
Because regret isn't the same as fear.
I thought it was.
It feels similar.
The conversation ended there. Not because Ava had run out of questions. Because Thomas had reached the limit of his answers. 2 hours later, they stopped beside a quiet overlook above the ocean. Rain had finally eased. Clouds drifted low over dark water. Thomas stepped out to stretch. Ava followed. The air smelled of salt and pine. She walked to the guardrail. Emily would have stopped here. Not because the view was famous. Because the light was beautiful. Ava lifted her phone. Took a picture. Looked at it. Deleted it. It wasn't right. She tried again. Still wrong. Thomas noticed.
Your mother used to do that.
What?
Take 30 photographs before she liked one.
I only took 2.
You are improving.
Ava laughed. The sound surprised both of them. For a moment, the drive felt ordinary. A family road trip. Nothing more. Thomas leaned against the hood. He looked toward the ocean.
Emily always said, the right photograph waits for you.
Did you believe her?
I believe she believed it.
And now?
Thomas looked toward the horizon.
I think she was right.
A black raven landed on the guardrail. It watched them, silent, unmoving. Then it flew toward the forest inland. Thomas followed it with his eyes longer than seemed necessary.
You okay?
Let's keep driving.
The rain returned shortly after noon. Harder than before, the highway narrowed. Traffic disappeared. Tall pines closed around both sides of the road. Ava looked out the passenger window. Everything felt darker here. Older, almost untouched. She rested her forehead against the cool glass. Then she saw him. A young man stood among the trees, black coat, dark hair, hands in his pockets. He wasn't walking, he wasn't hiding. He simply stood there watching the highway, watching their car.
Dad?
Thomas glanced toward her.
Stop the car.
Why?
There is someone in the woods.
Thomas looked toward the trees, only for a second. His expression changed immediately.
Where?
Right there.
She pointed. The young man remained perfectly still. Rain fell around him. Not once did he blink. Thomas slowed slightly. A truck rounded the curve ahead. Its headlights flashed across the windshield. For one brief moment, the truck blocked Ava's view. When it passed, the forest was empty.
He was there?
I know.
Ava turned toward him.
You saw him?
Thomas realized his mistake too late. He gripped the steering wheel tighter.
I saw someone.
You know who he is.
Number.
You answered too fast?
Thomas accelerated. The speedometer climbed.
Who is he?
I don't know.
You just admitted you saw him.
I saw a person.
Then why are we suddenly speeding?
Thomas didn't answer. His eyes never left the road. Ava looked back toward the trees. Nothing. Only rain. Only endless forest. Yet she couldn't shake one feeling. The young man hadn't been watching the highway. He had been waiting specifically for them. The gas station appeared unexpectedly beside the road. One fuel pump. A small convenience store. A faded wooden sign swinging in the wind. Thomas pulled in.
Stay here.
I've heard that before.
I'll be 5 minutes.
So probably 10.
Thomas disappeared inside. Ava remained in the passenger seat. She reached into her backpack. Emily's photograph. Moonlight Falls. Before the rain. She studied the lighthouse again. Something about the angle felt familiar. Not from memory, from somewhere else. She looked outside. The rain had slowed. Across the empty parking lot stood the same young man, exactly where the forest ended. exactly where the rain stopped. He was looking directly at her. Their eyes met. Silver gray, almost sad. Ava opened the car door. Cold air rushed inside.
Hey,
The young man didn't move. She walked a few steps toward him.
do I know you?
He tilted his head slightly, almost smiling, not amused, relieved. As though hearing her voice mattered, a truck turned into the station. Its engine roared between them. For 2 seconds, the young man disappeared behind it. When the truck parked, he was gone. No footsteps, no running, nothing. Only empty, rain-soaked pavement.
That is impossible.
Thomas hurried outside carrying 2 paper cups of coffee. He saw Ava standing in the rain. Immediately his expression tightened.
What happened?
He was here?
Who?
The guy from the woods, the one in the black coat.
Thomas looked across the parking lot, toward the tree line. His breathing became noticeably slower, like someone preparing for bad news.
Did he speak to you?
Number?
Did he touch you?
Number?
What did he do?
He just looked at me.
Thomas closed his eyes for 1 second. Only one. Then he handed her a cup of coffee.
We're leaving.
You know him?
Number.
You keep lying.
Get in the car.
Dad?
Now.
His voice left no room for another question. Ava climbed back into the passenger seat. As Thomas pulled onto the highway, she looked through the side mirror. Far above the road, standing on a rocky hill, the young man watched their car disappear into the rain. He never moved. He simply watched, as though he had been waiting for them for a very long time. Late afternoon faded slowly into evening. The farther north they drove, the older the forest became. The trees grew taller. Their branches reached across the highway until the road felt like a tunnel carved through green darkness. Rain returned, not in heavy sheets, just enough to blur the windshield. Thomas leaned forward slightly. Without realizing it, a habit. Whenever he entered Moonlight Falls County, he always drove this way. More alert, more cautious. Ava noticed.
You've been gripping the steering wheel for 20 miles.
Have I?
Either you are nervous, or the road personally offended you.
Thomas relaxed one hand. Only a little.
The roads are narrow.
I've driven with you in Los Angeles. That excuse doesn't work.
Thomas laughed quietly. It was brief, but real.
There, you actually laughed?
Don't get used to it.
Too late?
The road curved around a small lake. Mist floated above the water. Everything outside looked washed clean. The radio crackled, static. Then, for just a second, soft piano music. A woman's voice began singing. Before either of them could recognize the song, the signal disappeared again. Only static remained. Thomas reached toward the radio, turned it off, too quickly.
What was that?
Bad reception.
You didn't even wait?
It wasn't important.
You looked terrified.
I looked annoyed.
Number, you looked like someone recognized the song.
Thomas didn't answer. The silence itself became an answer. A wooden sign appeared beside the road. Welcome to Moonlight County. Population. The number had faded almost completely. Simone had painted a small white moon beneath it. The paint looked fresh. Ava rolled down the window slightly. Cold forest air rushed inside. It smelled different here. Wet cedar. Fresh earth. Wildflowers hidden somewhere beyond the trees. Something about the scent felt strangely familiar. Almost comforting. She closed her eyes. For one impossible second. She remembered laughter. Emily's laughter. Not clearly. Only the feeling. Then it was gone.
I've smelled this before.
You have.
I remember it?
Thomas nodded.
Your mother loved cedar after the rain.
Another mile passed. Then another. The forest suddenly opened. A small town appeared below. Warm yellow lights. Brick storefronts. A white church. A diner with people gathered inside. A bookstore. A flower shop. An old movie theater with missing letters on its sign. Everything looked small. Everything looked lived in. Ava leaned closer to the window.
It is?
She searched for the right word.
Pretty.
It grows on people.
You sound surprised.
I forgot
What?
how beautiful it is.
The statement hung quietly between them. Thomas wasn't talking about the buildings or the trees. He was remembering something else, someone else. As they entered town, people looked up from the sidewalks. A delivery driver paused beside his truck. 2 elderly women stopped talking outside the bakery. A boy riding a bicycle slowed almost to a stop. One by one, eyes followed Thomas's old pickup. Ava shifted uncomfortably.
They're staring.
They're curious.
There is a difference?
In small towns, not much.
So everyone already knows we're here.
They probably knew yesterday.
That is horrifying.
Thomas smiled again, slightly longer this time. They stopped at a red light. The intersection was empty. Across the street stood Moonlight Falls High School. Red brick, tall windows, an old clock tower rising above the main entrance. Students poured through the front doors. Practice had just ended. Football players, band students. Friends laughing beneath umbrellas. Life, normal life. Ava watched them quietly. Tomorrow, she would be one of them, or at least expected to be. A blond boy jogged backward across the parking lot while talking to friends tall. Athletic, easy smile. He caught a football tossed from across the lot without looking. Everyone around him laughed. He laughed louder.
He seems popular.
Ethan Wolf.
You know students by name?
I know families.
Should I be worried?
Probably.
Great.
Almost as if he had heard them, Ethan glanced toward the truck. For only a second. His smile faded. He looked directly at Thomas, then toward Ava. His expression became curious, almost confused. The light turned green. Thomas drove away. Ethan continued watching until the truck disappeared around the corner. A few streets later, Ava saw him again. Lucien, standing alone beneath the awning of an old bookstore, hands inside the pockets of his black coat. Not talking. Not reading, simply watching the rain. Their eyes met across the street. This time he didn't disappear. He held her gaze, calm, patient, almost as though he had expected this moment for years.
Dad?
Thomas followed her eyes. The moment he saw Lucien, his shoulders stiffened. Neither man moved. Cars rolled quietly between them. Neither looked away. Lucien gave the smallest nod. Thomas didn't return it. The traffic light changed. The truck moved forward. Lucien remained standing beneath the bookstore awning until he vanished behind the passing buildings.
You definitely know him?
Thomas kept driving.
Stay away from him.
You've said that?
You should listen.
You still haven't explained why.
Thomas's voice became quieter than before, almost tired.
Some people carry too much history.
Is he dangerous?
Thomas answered immediately.
To himself.
Ava frowned. That wasn't the answer she expected. Before she could ask another question, Thomas turned onto a narrow road lined with towering cedar trees. The town disappeared behind them. Only one house waited at the end of the lane. Gray, silent, covered with climbing ivy. A wraparound porch, a swing moving gently in the wind, even though there was no wind. Thomas turned off the engine. Neither of them spoke. Rain tapped softly against the roof. Ava stared at the house. A strange feeling settled over her. She had never really remembered this place. Yet somehow, it had remembered her. She reached for the door handle, then stopped. An upstairs curtain moved, just once. Someone had been standing behind the glass, watching them arrive. Thomas stepped out first. Rain soaked his jacket before he reached the trunk. He didn't seem to notice. He stood for a long moment looking at the house, not like a homeowner returning after years away. Like a man standing before a memory he wasn't sure he deserved. Ava climbed out beside him. Gravel crunched beneath her shoes. The air felt colder than it had in town. The cedar trees surrounded the property like quiet guards. No traffic, no voices, only rain. And somewhere in the distance, the steady sound of running water.
That is the creek.
You remember.
I don't know how.
Thomas looked toward the trees. The sound seemed to comfort him. At the same time, it made him uneasy. He unlocked the front door. The old brass key resisted, then finally turned. The door opened with a slow groan. Cold air drifted outside. It smelled of cedar, old books, dust, and lavender. Ava stopped. She closed her eyes. The scent struck something buried deep inside her memory. Emily laughing, sunlight through kitchen windows, fresh towels hanging beside the stairs. A little girl hiding lavender flowers inside rain boots. The memory disappeared almost as quickly as it came.
Mom?
Thomas looked at her. He didn't ask what she remembered. He already knew.
She used to keep lavender everywhere.
I remember?
So do I.
Thomas reached inside and flipped the light switch. Nothing. He tried again. Still dark.
Excellent. The haunted house aesthetic is committed.
The power should be on.
Should is carrying this conversation.
Thomas walked back outside. A moment later, he returned carrying a flashlight. The narrow beam swept across the entryway. White sheets covered furniture. Dust floated through the light. A staircase curved toward the second floor. Family photographs still hung along one wall. Someone who had carefully turned every frame backward. None of the pictures faced the room. Ava frowned.
Who does that?
Thomas followed the flashlight toward the wall. He slowly turned one frame around. Emily, standing beside the lighthouse, camera hanging around her neck, laughing at whoever stood behind the lens. Thomas quietly turned the frame back around, facing the wall again.
Why?
Thomas answered without looking at her.
I couldn't.
You couldn't look at them?
Thomas nodded, very slightly.
So you made sure no one else could either.
Thomas didn't defend himself. He simply carried another box inside. Ava wandered into the living room. Everything looked smaller than it had inside her memories. Children remembered houses differently. Every hallway had once seemed endless. Every chair enormous. Now the rooms felt almost ordinary. Except for one thing. Nothing had really changed. Books still lined the shelves. Emily's old record player still sat beside the fireplace. A cracked blue vase remained on the mantel. Time had stopped here, waiting for someone to return. Ava brushed one finger across the piano. Dust coated her skin. She pressed a single key. One lonely note echoed through the house. Then something answered upstairs. A dull thump. Ava looked toward the ceiling. Another thump. Slower this time. Thomas appeared immediately.
What was that?
I thought you were going to tell me old houses make noises.
Thomas listened carefully. Nothing, only rain. He started toward the staircase.
Stay here.
You've already used that one today?
Ava.
I am coming?
Thomas sighed. He knew arguing would only waste time. Together they climbed the stairs. The hallway stretched ahead beneath a sloping ceiling. 4 doors, one window overlooking the forest. The flashlight moved slowly across faded wallpaper. Everything looked exactly as Thomas remembered. Until they reached the last door. It stood slightly open. Thomas stopped. He was certain he had closed every upstairs door before leaving 17 years ago.
You okay?
I don't remember this being open.
Maybe the house missed us.
Thomas pushed the door wider. The room beyond was empty. Old furniture covered with white sheets. Boxes stacked against one wall. Nothing moved. Nothing seemed disturbed. Then the window slammed shut. Both of them jumped. The sound echoed through the hallway. Thomas hurried inside. The window latch hung loose. Rainwater covered the floor beneath it.
So, old houses?
Draft.
You don't believe that?
Thomas looked toward the forest outside. The flashlight beam reached only a few yards beyond the glass. The trees swallowed everything else. He quietly locked the window, then checked it a second time. Only after that did he step away. Ava wandered into the room next door. She didn't need Thomas to tell her what it was. She knew. Her bedroom. The faded moon painted above the bed remained exactly where she remembered. Tiny silver stars covered the ceiling. Most had peeled away. One still shone above the window. A small bookshelf leaned against the wall. Half the books were still there. A stuffed rabbit sat beside the pillow. One ear missing. Ava smiled.
I named him Captain.
You changed his name every week.
I was an artist?
You were indecisive.
Those are related?
Thomas smiled. A real smile this time. It lasted almost 3 whole seconds. Ava walked to the wardrobe. Inside hung a tiny yellow raincoat. Her raincoat. She touched the sleeve. Another memory surfaced. Emily kneeling, buttoning the coat, brushing wet hair away from Ava's face.
No puddles.
I promise.
That wasn't convincing.
I'll try smaller puddles.
The memory faded. Ava opened her eyes. She hadn't remembered Emily's voice that clearly in years. A tear slipped down her cheek before she noticed it. Thomas pretended not to see. He quietly walked to the hallway, giving her the privacy she hadn't asked for. Ava wiped her eyes. She crossed to the old desk beneath the window. One drawer opened easily. Empty. The second stuck halfway. She pulled harder. The wood suddenly gave way. Inside lay a folded sheet of paper. Yellow with age. She unfolded it carefully. A child's drawing. 3 stick figures beneath a smiling moon. Thomas Emily. Ava, and standing several feet away, a 4th figure. Much taller. Entirely colored black, with bright silver circles for eyes. At the bottom of the page, written in uneven childish letters, one name. Lucian. Ava stopped breathing. She didn't remember drawing it. She didn't remember writing the name. Yet somehow, it felt completely familiar. She turned the page over. Emily had written one sentence in blue ink. She says he always watches the house when it rains. A floorboard creaked behind her. Ava turned instantly. The doorway was empty. Thomas was downstairs. She knew because she could hear him opening boxes in the kitchen. Slowly, very slowly, Ava looked toward the bedroom window. Someone stood outside. On the porch roof beneath the 2nd floor. Black coat, dark hair, silver gray eyes, Lucian. Neither of them spoke. Rain fell quietly between them. After several long seconds, Lucian raised one finger. Not toward her, toward the window latch. Then he spoke so softly she almost didn't hear him.
Lock it.
Ava frowned.
Why?
Because I am not the one you should worry about.
A deep howl rolled through the forest. Closer than before, Lucian looked toward the trees. His expression changed instantly. The calm disappeared. For the first time, he looked afraid. He met Ava's eyes one last time.
Don't open the window tonight.
A shadow crossed the roof, only for a heartbeat. Ava instinctively looked toward it. When she turned back, Lucian was gone, as though he had never been there at all. Thomas was already downstairs when Ava finally left her room. She closed the bedroom door, then stopped. She opened it again, walked back inside, checked the window latch herself. Locked, she tugged it once. Only then did she leave. Lucian's warning refused to leave her mind, if not him. Then who? Warm light spilled from the kitchen. The electricity had finally returned. Thomas stood at the stove heating canned soup. The smell filled the house. Ordinary. Comforting, exactly what both of them needed. Ava leaned against the doorway.
Please tell me tomorrow we buy actual food.
This is actual food.
It came from a can.
It was food before the can.
That argument sounded stronger in your head.
Thomas handed her a spoon.
Stir.
So now I am helping.
You've been promoted.
Excellent. Do I get dental?
Thomas laughed. Longer this time. The sound surprised both of them. For a few minutes, they were simply father and daughter making dinner. No missing mother. No mysterious strangers. No old photographs. Only soup, rain. And a house slowly remembering how to be lived in. They carried their bowls into the dining room. The old oak table still stood beneath the chandelier. A deep scratch crossed one corner. Ava traced it with one finger.
I did this.
You drove a toy truck across the table.
It was a race.
It was a disaster.
I won?
The table lost.
Ava smiled, then looked around the room. Every chair matched except one. A chair near the window sat slightly farther back than the others, almost as though someone had stood up and never returned.
Mom always sat there.
Thomas looked toward the chair. He answered quietly.
Yes?
You still set the table for 2.
Thomas froze. There were 2 bowls, 2 spoons, 2 glasses. But 4 chairs remained around the table. Emily's chair had never been moved. He followed Ava's eyes. He reached across the table, pulled the chair in, only an inch. It was enough.
You've never been able to move it?
Number?
Silence settled between them again. Not uncomfortable, just heavy. After dinner, Thomas unpacked dishes while Ava wandered through the kitchen. Most cabinets were exactly as Emily had left them. Tea, coffee, old recipe books, a collection of colorful mugs. One yellow mug caught Ava's attention. Its handle had been repaired with white glue years ago. Emily's favorite. Ava lifted it carefully. Something rattled inside. She frowned, turned it upside down. A folded strip of photographic paper slid onto the counter. Blank or almost blank. Thomas looked over.
What is it?
I don't know yet.
She held it toward the light. Nothing. Just old photographic paper. Thomas reached toward it, instinctively, then stopped himself.
You wanted to take it.
Number?
You definitely did.
I wanted to see it.
That is a more polite version of taking it.
Thomas nodded once. He didn't argue.
Mom hid this.
Probably.
Did she hide things often?
Thomas looked down at the counter. A small smile appeared.
Only when she knew I'd eventually find them.
And did you?
Usually.
What about this one?
Thomas looked at the photographic paper, then slowly shook his head.
Number?
Rain struck the kitchen windows harder now. Wind moved through the cedar trees. The entire house seemed to settle around them. A distant thump echoed upstairs. Both of them looked toward the ceiling. Neither spoke. Another sound followed, much softer. 3 slow taps, tap, tap, tap. Not on the ceiling. On glass, upstairs. Ava immediately looked toward the staircase. Thomas stood.
Stay here.
We've established that is not happening.
She followed him before he could object. Their footsteps echoed through the quiet house. 2nd floor hallway. Everything looked exactly as they had left it. Until they reached Ava's bedroom. The window stood open. Rain blew across the floor. Cold wind lifted the curtains.
I locked it?
Thomas walked directly to the window. The latch remained locked. Yet somehow, the window itself had opened. He pulled it shut again, tested it twice. It held firmly.
Explain that?
Thomas couldn't. He looked outside, flashlight in hand. The beam swept across the porch roof. Empty. Across the yard. Empty. Towered the forest. Nothing. 2 silver eyes far beyond the tree line. Watching the house, Thomas lowered the flashlight immediately, too quickly, as though he didn't want whatever stood out there to know it had been seen.
What is it?
Nothing.
You looked right at it?
I said, it is nothing.
You've said that a lot today.
Thomas closed the curtains, pulled them completely shut.
Dad, who are you trying to protect?
Thomas didn't answer immediately. His eyes remained fixed on the dark fabric covering the window. Finally, very quietly.
You?
Later that night, the house became still. Thomas had gone to bed. Rain softened into a gentle rhythm against the roof. Ava sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor. The blank photographic paper rested beside the undeveloped roll of film. Lucian's warning replayed again and again inside her mind. She opened one of Emily's old camera books. Most pages were filled with handwritten notes, exposure, light, composition. Near the back, A folded grocery receipt served as a bookmark. Emily had written only one sentence across it. Sometimes photographs hide more than they show. Ava looked back at the blank paper, then smiled slightly.
Nice try, Mom.
She knew exactly where the old darkroom supplies had been stored. Tomorrow, she was going to see whatever Emily had hidden, outside, beyond the closed curtains. Summono stood silently beneath the cedar trees, watching the light beneath Ava's bedroom door. Lucian. He remained there only a moment, then looked toward the deeper forest. His expression hardened. A low growl answered from somewhere beyond the creek. Lucian disappeared into the darkness without a sound. The thing hidden among the trees moved closer to the house. Morning arrived with rain. Not a storm, just the quiet, steady kind that seemed to belong to Moonlight Falls. Ava woke before her alarm. For a few seconds she forgot where she was. Then she saw the faded silver stars painted across the ceiling. The old wardrobe, the rain against the window. Home, or at least, the place she had once called home. She rolled onto one elbow. The curtains were still closed. Exactly where Thomas had left them. Ava looked at the window, still locked. She climbed out of bed, pulled the curtains open. Gray morning light spilled into the room. The porch roof below was empty. No Lucian, no footprints. Nothing except rainwater collecting along the edge. She almost convinced herself she had imagined the entire conversation. Then she noticed it. On the outside windowsill, a single white feather, perfectly dry, even though everything around it was soaked. Ava unlocked the window. Only a few inches. She reached outside. The feather felt warm, not physically, just comforting. She slipped it into her pocket. Downstairs, Samana was humming. Ava froze halfway down the stairs. The melody was soft, gentle, familiar. Emily used to hum exactly the same tune while making breakfast. Ava hurried toward the kitchen. Thomas stood at the stove making pancakes, still humming. He looked up.
Morning.
You were humming?
Was I?
Mom's song.
Thomas looked genuinely surprised. He stopped. Listened, as though hearing himself for the first time.
I didn't realize.
You haven't done that in years?
I guess I forgot.
Neither of them spoke for several seconds. Then Thomas flipped another pancake. Poorly. It folded in half.
Professional?
It is rustic.
It is defeated?
Eat first. Judge later.
Breakfast was louder than dinner had been. Not because either of them talked much, because the house had started making noises again. The refrigerator clicked. Pipes rattled. Floorboards settled. Somehow, those sounds made the rooms feel alive. Thomas placed a stack of pancakes on the table. One immediately slid sideways.
I admire your confidence.
I admire your optimism.
You assume I am eating those?
Thomas pointed toward the syrup.
Syrup fixes everything.
Is that parenting advice?
It worked surprisingly often.
Ava poured syrup, took one bite, paused.
Okay.
I know.
They're actually good?
I also know.
I wanted them to be terrible.
I know that too.
For the first time since leaving Seattle, breakfast felt normal. Not perfect, just normal. Thomas carried his coffee toward the front door. His sheriff's jacket rested across one arm. The old silver badge reflected the morning light.
First day?
Again.
Nervous?
Thomas considered the question honestly.
More than I expected.
You've done this before.
Not here.
That is the problem?
Thomas nodded. He picked up his keys, then stopped. He looked back toward Ava.
School starts tomorrow.
I noticed.
Today. Stay in town.
So not the forest.
Definitely not the forest.
And absolutely not mysterious boys in black coats?
Thomas gave her a long look.
Especially not them.
Still refusing to explain?
Still asking.
Every chance I get?
Thomas smiled, almost proudly.
That part definitely came from your mother.
A truck stopped outside. Summono honked twice. Thomas looked through the window.
That is Deputy Walter.
Already impatient?
He is always impatient.
Thomas opened the front door. An older man waved from the driver's seat. His gray mustache seemed older than the truck.
You planning to become sheriff today or next week?
I am coming.
You've been saying that since 1999.
Thomas laughed. A real laugh. Walter noticed Ava standing behind him. He removed his cap politely.
You must be Ava.
I hope so.
Good answer.
Walter smiled warmly. There wasn't the slightest trace of suspicion, only kindness.
Your mom once convinced half this town to smile at a camera. I spent 3 days looking ridiculous.
She probably said it was artistic.
She absolutely did.
Walter climbed back into the truck. Before leaving, he looked toward the forest beside the Parker house. His smile faded almost imperceptibly. Then he drove away. Thomas noticed. So did Ava. Neither mentioned it. Thomas picked up his jacket, paused beside Ava.
Lock the doors.
I know.
If somebody knocks.
I know.
If you decide to explore.
I definitely know.
You waited until I finished.
I was trying something new.
Thomas kissed the top of her head, something he hadn't done in years. Then he left. Ava watched through the front window as the sheriff's truck disappeared down the cedar-lined road. The house became quiet. Very quiet. She waited exactly 30 seconds, then smiled to herself.
Sorry, Dad.
She walked upstairs, opened Emily's old camera book, picked up the undeveloped film, and the hidden photographic paper today. She was finally going to learn what her mother had tried so hard to leave behind. Outside, across the road, Lucian stood beneath the trees, watching the Parker house. Not watching Ava, watching the forest behind it. His silver eyes narrowed. Somewhere beyond the creek, something unseen was watching the house too. The old darkroom was exactly where Emily had left it. At the end of the upstairs hallway, behind a narrow wooden door painted black, a faded sign still hung from the handle. Darkroom. Do not open. Ava smiled.
Sorry, Mom.
She turned the knob. The room smelled of old paper, dust, and photographic chemicals. A single red safety light still hung from the ceiling. Shelves lined every wall. Glass bottles. Developing trays, boxes of film. Dozens of labeled envelopes. Everything had been left exactly as though Emily planned to return the next morning. Ava stepped inside slowly. She almost expected to hear her mother's voice. Instead, only silence. She placed the undeveloped paper beside the sink. Most of the chemicals had long since dried out. She searched cabinet after cabinet. Finally, near the bottom shelf, she found 2 unopened bottles. Developer. Fixer. Emily's handwriting covered both labels. Still good. Probably, Ava laughed quietly.
Probably isn't exactly scientific.
She filled 2 trays with water, mixed the chemicals carefully. Every movement felt strangely familiar. Emily had taught her when she was little. Not because she expected Ava to become a photographer, because she believed everyone should experience watching an image appear out of nothing. Emily used to call it magic. Ava finally understood why. She lowered the photographic paper into the first tray. Nothing happened. 5 seconds. 10. Then gray shadows slowly appeared. A line. Another line. A tree. The outline of a house. Ava leaned closer. The picture became darker. Sharper. 3 people stood in front of the Parker house. Thomas, Emily, and Lucian. He looked exactly the same. Samey face. Samey black coat. Samey quiet expression. Not younger. Not older. Exactly the same. Ava stared. The date written beneath the photograph read 1999. She whispered without realizing it.
That is impossible.
The image continued developing. Another figure slowly emerged from the edge of the frame. A giant silver wolf, standing just inside the forest, watching the family, watching Lucian, watching the camera. Its eyes seemed almost human. Ava lifted the photograph with shaking fingers. Emily had written another sentence across the bottom. Some promises outlive time. A chill ran through Ava. She looked from the photograph to the window. Rain still fell outside, exactly as it had the day before. A floorboard creaked behind her. Ava spun around, nobody. The hallway beyond the darkroom remained empty. She laughed nervously.
Okay, I am officially creeping myself out.
She placed the photograph carefully on the counter, then noticed something she had missed. The envelope that had held the paper wasn't empty. One small strip of folded notebook paper remained inside. Emily's handwriting. Only one sentence. If Lucian is still here, listen before you judge. Ava read it again and again. Not stay away from him. Not trust him. Only listen. Her father had spent less than 24 hours telling her to avoid Lucian. Emily's final note suggested the opposite. Someone knocked downstairs. 3 quick knocks. Not slow. Not threatening. Just ordinary. Ava folded the note into her pocket. She hurried down the stairs. Through the front window, she saw a girl about her age standing on the porch. Long brown hair. Bright yellow rain jacket, holding a covered pie in both hands. The girl smiled the moment Ava opened the door.
You must be Ava.
I hope so.
Good. Otherwise, I've been standing in the rain talking to the wrong house.
Ava laughed. The girl held up the pie proudly.
My mom heard you moved in yesterday. She refuses to let new neighbors survive without food.
I think we're already being fed by half the town.
Excellent. Competition keeps everyone motivated.
She handed over the pie, then looked past Ava into the hallway.
So, how haunted is it?
Excuse me?
The Parker house. Everyone says it is haunted. I voted maybe.
Ava blinked.
That is a thing?
Oh, definitely. They say lights turn on by themselves. People hear footsteps. And someone keeps seeing a guy in a black coat.
Ava's smile disappeared.
You've heard that one.
Maybe?
My grandfather swears he has been 17 forever. My mom says Grandpa needs better hobbies. I honestly don't know who is right.
Rain tapped softly against the porch roof. Neither girl spoke for a moment. Then Lily smiled again. Bright. Effortless.
Anyway, want the official Moonlight Falls welcome package?
Is there one?
Number I am making it up. We have coffee, a bookstore, a movie theater that is older than electricity, and tomorrow, I'll rescue you from eating lunch alone.
For the first time since arriving, the town felt a little less lonely. Ava smiled.
I'd like that.
Perfect. We're friends now. Around here, that is legally binding.
Ava laughed. She hadn't expected her first real friend to arrive carrying pie, or jokes, or ghost stories. Lily waved as she walked back toward the sidewalk. Halfway down the path, she suddenly stopped, looked toward the cedar trees across the road. Her smile faded.
What is it?
Nothing.
She looked back at Ava, smiled again. A little less naturally this time.
See you tomorrow.
She hurried away. Ava followed Lily's gaze toward the trees for only a second. She thought she saw Lucian standing beneath the branches, watching. Not the house. Not Lily. Then the rain shifted. The figure disappeared. Ava looked down at Emily's note still resting in her hand. If Lucian is still here, listen before you judge. The front door had barely closed before Ava looked at the clock. 9:23. Thomas would be at the sheriff's office. Walter would probably spend the next hour introducing him to everyone in town, which meant she had time. Plenty of it.
Technically, I am staying in town?
She smiled to herself. It wasn't exactly a lie, more like a creative interpretation. She grabbed Emily's camera bag, slipped the developed photograph inside, added the note, the undeveloped roll of film, her notebook, then headed downstairs, As she reached the front door, someone knocked 2. Quick knocks, not 3. Ava opened it. Lily stood there, completely soaked, holding 2 paper coffee cups.
Emergency!
Coffee?
Number! You look like someone about to investigate a mystery by herself. So I brought caffeine.
Is that the official Moonlight Falls protocol?
Absolutely. We're very organized.
Ava laughed.
So, were you actually planning to stay inside all day?
I was considering exploring.
Perfect. I volunteer as local tour guide. Avoids the awkward situation where tourists accidentally fall into the creek.
That happens often?
Enough that I have a speech prepared.
10 minutes later, they walked through Main Street beneath matching umbrellas. Rain had eased to a mist. The town looked completely different during daylight. People waved from storefronts. Someone called Lily by name every few minutes. She answered everyone. Mail carrier, bakery owner, elementary school teacher, even the woman watering flowers outside the library.
Do you know literally everyone?
I try. My mom says small towns only work if people keep saying hello.
And if they don't?
They become big towns.
Ava looked around. Children ran between puddles. A couple argued cheerfully outside the hardware store. An old man sat outside the diner reading yesterday's newspaper. Everything felt comfortably alive. Not haunted, not mysterious, just home. Lily pointed across the street.
That is the bookstore. Mrs. Carter gives free cookies if she likes you.
And if she doesn't?
She gives you oatmeal cookies.
So, psychological warfare.
Exactly.
They continued walking, past the movie theater, past the florist, past a tiny record shop. Finally, Lily stopped outside an old stone building. The Moonlight Falls Public Library. Large ivy vines climbed one wall. Rainwater dripped from carved gargoyles above the entrance.
Pretty.
Wait until you meet Mrs. Alvarez. She remembers every book anyone has ever borrowed.
That is impossible.
So is her blueberry pie. Yet somehow both exist.
Ava looked at the library. Something stirred inside her memory. Emily, walking up these same steps, camera over one shoulder, notebook in one hand. The feeling vanished before she could hold on to it. As they climbed the library steps, Lily suddenly stopped. Her smile disappeared. She looked across the street. Ava followed her eyes. Lucian stood beneath the awning of the old bookstore, exactly where he had stood yesterday, hands inside his coat pockets watching the rain, watching them.
Well,
You know him?
everybody knows him.
Really?
Lily hesitated, long enough for Ava to notice.
He mostly keeps to himself. People leave him alone.
Why?
I don't know. My mom says some people have enough sadness already.
Ava looked back toward Lucian. He wasn't looking at the bookstore anymore. He was watching Ava. Their eyes met. For a second, something almost like recognition passed across his face. Then he quietly looked away, turned, walked down the sidewalk, disappeared into the morning mist.
He is strange?
Moonlight Falls has a lot of strange people. You'll fit right in.
Ava smiled. But Emily's note echoed quietly inside her mind. She had a feeling. Sooner or later, she would. Mrs. Alvarez looked up before the library door had fully opened. She couldn't have been much taller than the circulation desk. Silver hair, round glasses, a dark green cardigan with tiny embroidered owls along the sleeves. She smiled the moment she saw Lily.
You are late.
I wasn't aware we had an appointment.
We don't. But you are still late.
Lily laughed. She stepped aside.
This is Ava Parker.
For just a heartbeat, Mrs. Alvarez stopped smiling. Not because she was surprised, because she already knew.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
You have your mother's eyes.
Ava had heard that sentence many times. For some reason, hearing it here felt different, more personal, almost like an apology.
Your library card is still in the system.
I was 5.
You borrowed a book about whales and never returned it.
I did?
Number, your mother did. I've been charging her overdue fees ever since.
Ava blinked. Then Mrs. Alvarez smiled. Ava laughed.
I told you she'd like you.
The library smelled exactly the way old libraries should. Wood. Paper rain. Tall windows filled the reading room with soft gray light. Rows of shelves disappeared toward the back of the building. Everything felt peaceful, safe. Almost untouched by time, Ava wandered slowly between the stacks. Her fingertips brushed worn book spines, photography, history. Local newspapers. She stopped in front of a display case. Old black and white photographs of Moonlight Falls. Harvest festivals. School graduations. Snowstorms. One photograph caught her attention. The Parker house. Taken decades ago. She leaned closer. Simone stood on the front porch, too small to recognize. She looked for a caption. Nothing, only photographer, Emily Parker. Ava smiled without realizing it. Mrs. Alvarez appeared beside her quietly.
She donated hundreds of photographs.
I didn't know.
She wanted people to remember ordinary days. Ava studied the display again.
She didn't photograph famous places.
Numbers she believed ordinary moments disappear first.
Mrs. Alvarez adjusted one frame carefully.
Most people photograph celebrations. Emily photographed Tuesdays.
I like that.
So did she.
Ava hesitated, then reached into her backpack. She unfolded the photograph she had developed that morning, only enough for Mrs. Alvarez to see Lucian.
Do you know him?
Mrs. Alvarez became very still. Only her eyes moved. She looked at Lucian's face, then slowly folded the photograph closed herself.
Where did you get this?
It belonged to my mother.
I see.
So, you do know him?
Mrs. Alvarez removed her glasses, cleaned them slowly, buying herself time.
I've seen him.
Who is he?
A quiet young man.
That is not really an answer.
Number, it isn't.
She looked toward the rain outside.
Sometimes, people stay exactly where life leaves them.
What does that mean?
I honestly don't know anymore.
She smiled gently, a sad smile. Exactly the kind adults wore when they wanted to protect children. Ava recognized it immediately. Thomas wore the same expression. Lily wandered over carrying 3 books balanced in her arms.
I found the ghost section.
You have a ghost section?
Local folklore.
Ghosts sell better.
Mrs. Alvarez pretended to sigh.
Unfortunately, she is right.
You should borrow one.
I thought you didn't believe them?
I don't, but they're fun.
She placed one book into Ava's hands, Legends of Moonlight Falls. The cover showed the old lighthouse beneath a full moon. A bookmark rested halfway through the book. As Ava opened it, a folded newspaper clipping slipped onto the floor. She picked it up. A missing person article, Emily Parker, 17 years ago. Ava stopped breathing. She had never seen the article before. Mrs. Alvarez noticed immediately. She reached for it, then stopped.
You should keep that.
Why?
Because it belonged to your mother.
What?
Mrs. Alvarez pointed toward the back. Emily had circled one paragraph in blue ink. Below it, she had written only 4 words. Start with the lighthouse. Ava stared at the handwriting. Emily had hidden clues, not just photographs. Not just film. She had been leaving a trail, one piece at a time. Outside, across the street, Lucian stood beneath the bookstore awning once again. He wasn't watching the library, he was watching the road beyond it. A black SUV rolled slowly into town. Dark windows, out-of-state plates. Lucian's expression changed for the first time. He looked genuinely concerned. He turned without hesitation and disappeared into the rain before the vehicle reached Main Street. Lily didn't notice the black SUV. She was already leading Ava toward the history shelves.
If you are going to live here, you should know the important things.
I am almost afraid to ask.
The diner has the best pie. The movie theater seats squeak. And nobody swims in Moonlight Creek after sunset.
Why?
My grandmother says it is bad luck.
What does everyone else say?
They still don't swim.
Ava smiled. Small town traditions. Every place had them. Some made sense. Others survived simply because no one wanted to be the first person to ignore them. The history section occupied the oldest corner of the library. Shelves reached almost to the ceiling. Leather-bound town records, photo albums, boxes filled with newspaper clippings. Mrs. Alvarez unlocked a glass cabinet.
Your mother spent weeks here.
Looking for what?
I asked her the same question.
What did she say?
Mrs. Alvarez smiled at the memory.
She said, "The right question comes before the right answer."
That sounds like her.
Mrs. Alvarez handed her a thick photo album. The cover read, Ava opened it carefully. Children skating on the frozen creek. A harvest festival. The old lighthouse before restoration. School dances, parades, normal lives. Then, another familiar face, Lucian. Standing near the edge of a 4th of July picnic. Dark shirt, hands in his pockets. Looking almost exactly as he had yesterday. The caption beneath the photograph read, Summer Festival, 1987. Ava slowly turned the page. Another photograph. Christmas parade. Lucian again. Samey face. Samey age, 1972. Her heartbeat quickened. She flipped farther back. Graduation ceremony, 1955. Lucian. Still 17. Still unchanged.
Number?
Lily leaned over.
What?
Look.
Lily studied the photographs. Her expression remained perfectly calm.
Huh?
I never noticed.
He is identical.
You are right.
Lily frowned. She turned several more pages. Another parade. Another school fair. Another community picnic. Lucian appeared again, always somewhere in the background. Never smiling, never posing. Always watching. Always exactly the same.
That is weird.
That is impossible.
Mrs. Alvarez quietly closed the album.
Some photographs tell stories. Others ask questions.
Which one is this?
I've spent 40 years trying to decide.
She gently returned the album to the shelf.
Your mother noticed the same thing.
Did she talk to him?
Mrs. Alvarez hesitated, then nodded once.
Yes.
What happened?
She came back with even more questions.
The library clock chimed noon. Lily checked her phone.
My mom's going to think I got adopted. Ava? Want lunch?
Definitely.
The diner?
I've heard they have important pie.
Now you are learning.
They thanked Mrs. Alvarez and stepped outside. Rain had almost stopped. Clouds slowly drifted apart. For the first time since arriving, a thin beam of sunlight reached Main Street. People emerged from shops. Someone placed chairs outside the CFE. The whole town seemed to exhale. Across the street, the black SUV remained parked, engine off. Windows dark. No one got out. Ava looked at it. Something about it felt wrong. Not dangerous, just out of place. Like someone watching a play without buying a ticket.
You coming?
Yeah?
They crossed the street together. Neither noticed that someone inside the SUV was watching them, or that another pair of silver-gray eyes watched the SUV from the roof of the old bookstore. Lucian remained perfectly still. His attention never left the vehicle. Quietly, almost too quietly to hear, he spoke to himself.
You are early.
The driver's side door finally opened. A polished black shoe touched the wet pavement. Then another. A tall man stepped out. Perfect suit. Black umbrella. He looked toward the diner, then toward the library. Finally, his eyes settled on Ava. A faint smile appeared. Not warm, not friendly, only interested. Lucian's expression hardened immediately. For the first time in many years, someone had come to Moonlight Falls looking for Ava Parker. Lily noticed the stranger a heartbeat later. Her smile faded, only for a moment. Then it returned. Smaller, more careful.
You know him?
Number.
You hesitated?
I've just never seen him before.
The man adjusted his umbrella. His suit looked too expensive for a town where everyone greeted each other by first name. He didn't enter the diner. Didn't walk toward the library. Instead, he slowly crossed Main Street. Every movement was calm, measured. As though he had all the time in the world, Ava felt strangely uneasy. Not because he looked threatening, because he looked completely comfortable, like someone arriving exactly where he expected to be.
Let's go.
I thought we were?
A little faster.
Without waiting for an answer, Lily gently caught Ava's wrist. Not pulling, only encouraging. The diner bell jingled as they stepped inside. Warm air wrapped around them immediately. Fresh coffee, baked pie, grilled onions. The smell alone made the rainy morning feel brighter. Every booth was occupied. People laughed. Simono dropped a spoon. Country music drifted softly from an old jukebox. A waitress waved before they had even sat down.
Lily.
Hi, Sarah.
The usual?
And whatever my new friend wants.
Sarah smiled at Ava.
You must be Thomas's daughter.
News travels fast.
Honey, around here, news leaves before people do.
The entire diner laughed. Even Ava. She was beginning to understand how this town worked. They slid into a booth beside the window. Outside, rainwater rolled slowly down the glass. The black SUV remained across the street. The suited man had disappeared. Ava looked around instinctively. No sign of him.
Don't worry.
I am not?
You've looked out that window 6 times.
7?
See?
Ava smiled sheepishly. Sarah returned carrying 2 steaming mugs.
Coffee for Lily. Hot chocolate for Ava.
I didn't order?
Your mom always drank hot chocolate here. I figured it was worth a try.
Ava wrapped both hands around the mug. It smelled like cinnamon, exactly the way Emily used to make it on rainy afternoons. For a second, the diner disappeared. She was 6 years old again, feet dangling beneath the chair. Emily brushing marshmallows away before they melted. Thomas pretending not to steal whipped cream. The memory lasted only a heartbeat. But this time, it didn't hurt. Lily watched Ava quietly.
You miss her.
Every day?
I am sorry.
So am I.
Neither spoke for a while. The silence felt comfortable. Not awkward. Sometimes people didn't need to fill every quiet moment. Across the diner, the front door opened. The little bell chimed again. Conversation continued. No one looked up immediately. Then one customer noticed who had entered. His smile faded, another looked, then another. Within seconds, half the diner had quietly stopped talking. Ava turned toward the entrance. Lucian stood just inside the doorway. His black coat was damp from the rain. Water dripped quietly onto the wooden floor. He looked around the room. Not searching for a table, searching for someone. His eyes found Ava immediately. They stayed there, only for a second, then shifted toward the window behind her. Toward the black SUV, Lucian's jaw tightened. Sarah walked toward him.
The usual?
Please.
Her voice sounded completely normal, as though Lucian came here every week. Maybe he did. Ava watched him take the booth farthest from everyone else. No one asked him to join them. No one stared. People simply gave him space, not out of fear, out of habit.
He always sits there.
You've talked to him before.
A few times.
What is he like?
Huh, lonely.
That wasn't the answer Ava expected. She glanced toward Lucien again. He wasn't eating. He wasn't looking at anyone. His attention remained fixed outside the window. Watching the parked SUV. Watching, waiting. Then, very slowly, Lucian looked back at Ava. Almost imperceptibly, he shook his head once. Number. Ava frowned. Number. What? A shadow moved outside the diner window. The suited man had returned. He stopped on the sidewalk, lifted his eyes, and smiled directly at Ava. Lucian stood up immediately. His chair scraped sharply across the wooden floor. Every conversation inside the diner stopped. For the first time, the warm little diner no longer felt safe. Nobody moved. The scrape of Lucian's chair echoed through the diner. Then, silence. Even the jukebox seemed quieter. The suited man remained outside on the sidewalk. Rain drifted between him and the window. He smiled politely, almost pleasantly. As though greeting old friends, Lucian took one slow step forward. The entire diner watched without pretending not to. Sarah quietly set down the coffee pot she had been carrying. Walter, seated at the counter in uniform, slowly looked toward the front door. Nobody said a word.
What is happening?
I don't know.
But Lily was lying. Ava could hear it. The front door opened, the little bell rang once. The suited man stepped inside. He closed his umbrella carefully. Not a drop of water touched his polished shoes. He removed his leather gloves one finger at a time. His movements were almost graceful. He looked around the diner, smiled warmly.
Good afternoon.
Several people answered quietly, almost automatically. Nobody sounded relaxed. Damien's eyes drifted across the room, past Walter, past Sarah, past Lily, until they rested on Ava. Recognition, not surprise. Recognition. His smile widened.
You must be Ava Parker.
Ava stood instinctively.
Do I know you?
Number, but I've heard a great deal about you.
Lucian stepped between them, not aggressively, simply blocking the view.
Leave.
Damien sighed softly.
Still impolite.
Leave.
I've only just arrived.
Neither man raised his voice. Neither looked angry. That somehow made everyone else even more uncomfortable. Walter quietly stood from the counter. He rested one hand near his badge, not his weapon. Just the badge.
Everything all right here?
Perfectly. I was introducing myself.
You've introduced yourself.
Damien smiled politely.
Have I overstayed my welcome already?
We're a friendly town, but we appreciate short introductions.
A few people chuckled nervously. The tension eased, only slightly. Damien inclined his head.
Fair enough.
He reached into the inside pocket of his coat. Walter immediately stiffened. Damien slowly produced a business card. Nothing more. He held it toward Ava.
In case you ever have questions.
Ava looked at the card. She didn't take it. Lucian didn't move. His eyes never left Damien's face. After several quiet seconds, Sarah walked over. She took the card herself, folded it once, placed it on the counter.
You can leave that there.
Damien smiled at her, genuinely.
Thank you.
For the first time, Damien looked directly at Lucian. The smile disappeared. Not completely. Just enough.
You are still keeping your promise.
Always.
Promises become heavy.
So do regrets.
The words meant nothing to Ava. Everything to Damien. For one brief second, something sharp flashed behind his calm expression. Then it was gone. He adjusted one cuff, looked back toward Ava.
I hope you enjoy Moonlight Falls. It is a remarkable place.
He turned toward the door, opened it, paused without looking back.
We'll meet again.
Then he disappeared into the rain. The diner remained silent. 5 long seconds. 10. Finally, someone exhaled loudly. Conversation returned in scattered pieces. Coffee cups clinked. Chairs moved. The jukebox continued playing as though nothing unusual had happened. Walter walked over to Lucian.
You, all right.
Yes.
You know him.
Lucian looked toward the rain outside.
I wish I didn't.
Walter studied him for a moment, then nodded. No more questions. He trusted Lucian's answer. That surprised Ava even more than everything else. Lucian turned. For the first time since entering the diner, he spoke directly to Ava.
Did he touch you?
Number?
Did he give you anything?
Number?
Lucian visibly relaxed. only slightly.
Who is he?
Lucien met her eyes. His expression was tired. Older than any 17-year-old should ever look.
Someone who should never have found this town.
And you?
A faint smile touched the corner of Lucien's mouth. Not amused, only sad.
I've been trying to leave it for a very long time.
Before Ava could ask another question, the bell above the diner door rang again. Thomas walked inside, still wearing his sheriff's jacket. He immediately noticed the silence. Walter, Lucien, Ava, an empty space near the entrance where someone had been standing moments earlier. Thomas looked at Walter. Walter gave the smallest shake of his head. Too late. Thomas understood immediately. His eyes found Lucien.
He was here.
Yes.
Thomas closed his eyes for one brief moment. When he opened them again, he looked straight at Ava. For the first time since returning to Moonlight Falls, real fear showed on his face. Not fear for himself, fear for his daughter. Outside the diner, half hidden beneath the rain, the black SUV slowly pulled away from the curb. No one noticed that another vehicle had quietly begun following it. A black vintage sedan. Its headlights remained off, its driver invisible behind the rain. Thomas didn't sit down. He walked straight to Ava. Not hurried, not dramatic, just fast enough for her to understand something had changed.
We're going home.
I just got here.
We're leaving.
Dad?
Now.
His voice was calm. Too calm. Ava had learned years ago that Thomas became quieter when he was frightened. Lily stood up.
I can walk home.
Thank you.
Walter stepped closer.
I'll have someone keep an eye around town.
I appreciate it.
You think he'll come back?
Thomas didn't answer. Walter didn't ask again. The drive home took less than 5 minutes. Neither of them spoke. Rain tapped softly against the windshield. Ava watched Main Street disappear behind them. The bookstore, the library, the diner. Everything looked peaceful. Too peaceful. As though nothing unusual had happened.
You are going to explain.
Thomas kept driving.
I mean it?
So do I.
No more ladder, no more someday, no more pretending I am still 5.
Thomas pulled into the driveway, turned off the engine. The rain became the only sound. He rested both hands on the steering wheel, closed his eyes briefly, then finally spoke.
When your mother disappeared, I promised I'd keep you away from all of this.
From what?
Thomas looked toward the house. Not at Ava, at the upstairs window.
From people who don't belong in ordinary lives.
Lucien?
Yes.
Damien?
Yes.
So who are they?
Thomas answered so quietly Ava almost missed it.
I don't know.
What?
I know what they've done. I know what I've seen. But I don't know what they are.
That answer felt honest, painfully honest. They walked inside together. Thomas locked the front door, then the back door, then checked every downstairs window. Exactly the same way he had the night before. Ava watched silently. When he finished, he finally noticed she was still standing there.
You've been afraid for 17 years.
Thomas nodded.
And Mom knew them?
Yes.
Lucien protected her.
Yes.
So why won't you trust him?
Thomas looked toward the rain outside. His answer came after a long silence.
Because everyone close to Lucien loses something.
You think that is his fault?
I don't know. I've spent 17 years hoping I was wrong.
A knock echoed through the house. One knock gentle, not 3. Thomas immediately reached for the door. When he opened it, Mrs. Alvarez stood beneath a blue umbrella. A cloth-covered basket rested in her hands.
I baked too much.
Everyone in this town says that?
Everyone in this town lies about baking.
Even Thomas smiled. Mrs. Alvarez stepped inside. She looked toward Ava. Then quietly placed a small envelope onto the hallway table.
This belongs to you.
What is it?
I found it inside one of your mother's books. I should have given it to you yesterday.
Thomas looked sharply toward the envelope. Mrs. Alvarez met his eyes calmly.
It is time.
Thomas didn't argue. He simply stepped back. Mrs. Alvarez opened her umbrella again. Before leaving, she looked toward the cedar forest. Her expression became serious.
Don't keep the curtains open after sunset.
Then she disappeared into the rain. The envelope felt surprisingly heavy. Old cream-colored paper. Emily's handwriting covered the front for Ava. Only when you are ready. Ava's fingers trembled. Thomas said nothing. He simply nodded. Permission. Or surrender. Maybe both. Ava carefully opened the envelope. Inside rested a single folded page. No photograph. No map. Only a letter. She unfolded it slowly. The paper smelled faintly of lavender. Emily's handwriting filled the page.
My dearest Ava, if you are reading this, then you came home. That means I failed to come back for you. I am sorry. More than these words could ever explain. There will be people who tell you who to trust. There will be people who tell you who to fear. Listen to them, but make your own choice, especially about Lucien.
Ava stopped reading. Thomas quietly turned away. He couldn't watch. She continued.
Everyone sees the monster. Almost nobody notices the person standing in front of it.
The letter ended there. No signature. No explanation. Just one final sentence written beneath everything else. When it rains, look toward the lighthouse. That evening, the rain finally stopped. For the first time in 2 days, a pale shaft of moonlight broke through the clouds. Far beyond the trees, the lighthouse lamp slowly came alive. Its beam swept across the dark coastline. Once, twice, 3 times. From the edge of the forest, Lucien watched the light in silence. He closed his eyes, almost as though remembering someone. Then he whispered into the night.
I kept my promise.
No one answered, only the lighthouse, turning slowly above the sea, and somewhere far beyond Moonlight Falls, a black SUV disappeared into the darkness. Its driver smiled to himself. The game had finally begun. Ava read the letter 3 more times that night. Every sentence raised another question. Not one answered the last. Thomas disappeared into his study shortly after dinner. The door remained closed. Ava knew he wasn't working. She had heard no keyboard, no phone calls, only silence. The kind of silence people wrapped around old wounds. She folded Emily's letter carefully and slipped it back into the envelope. Then she looked toward the window. The lighthouse beam swept across the distant clouds once again. Emily had written tonite. It wasn't raining anymore. Maybe that mattered. Or maybe she was already overthinking everything. The next morning, sunlight, real sunlight, for the first time since arriving in Moonlight Falls. Golden light spilled across Ava's bedroom floor. Birds replaced the sound of rain. The town looked completely different. Warmer. Friendlier. Almost ordinary. Almost. Ava pulled open the curtains. The cedar trees glowed green beneath the morning light. No shadows. No mysterious figures. No Lucien. She almost felt disappointed. Almost. Downstairs, Thomas had already left for work. A handwritten note rested beside the coffee maker.
He still writes notes?
She smiled and picked it up.
Breakfast is in the refrigerator. School starts at 8:30. Lily said she'd walk with you. Please don't investigate any mysteries before lunch, Dad.
Ava laughed. He was trying. That counted for something. She opened the refrigerator. Inside sat a plate of pancakes, slightly burned. She smiled again. At exactly 8, the front doorbell rang. Lily stood outside wearing a backpack almost as large as she was.
Ready?
As I'll ever be.
Excellent! High school isn't nearly as terrifying as people claim.
That is a suspicious introduction.
It only gets terrifying around exam week.
They started down the quiet road together. Morning sunlight filtered through the cedar trees. The whole forest smelled clean after 2 days of rain.
So, tell me about school.
Small, friendly. Everybody knows everybody.
I keep hearing that.
You'll keep hearing it. We don't have enough people for new conversations.
Ava laughed. They crossed the small wooden bridge over Moonlight Creek. The water sparkled beneath the morning sun. Beautiful. Peaceful. Nothing like the creek from her dreams. She paused halfway across, looked down. For just 1 second, she thought she saw another face reflected beside her own. A woman, dark hair, holding a camera. Ava blinked. Only her own reflection remained.
You okay?
Yeah, I thought I saw something.
The creek does that.
What does that mean?
My grandma says everyone sees someone eventually. I always see myself. So maybe she is just dramatic.
Lily continued walking. Ava remained still for one more heartbeat. The water flowed quietly beneath the bridge, as though it had never reflected anything at all. Moonlight Falls High School stood on a hill overlooking the town. Red brick, white columns. An old clock tower whose bell rang across the valley every hour. Students gathered outside laughing before class. Someone tossed a football across the lawn. A marching band practiced in the distance, normal, ordinary. Exactly what Ava needed, or wanted to believe she needed.
Welcome to your new life.
No pressure?
Oh, plenty of pressure. But the cafeteria cookies help.
They climbed the front steps together. Several students looked toward the new girl, whispered quietly, then smiled. Not unfriendly, simply curious. A tall blonde boy caught a football one, handed as it flew past him. He turned, saw Lily, then Ava. He jogged toward them. Easy smile, confident, the kind of person who make conversations feel effortless.
You must be Ava.
Is my arrival on the morning announcements?
Pretty much. I am Ethan.
He thinks he is famous.
I am famous? My grandmother says so?
Your grandmother also says squirrels work for the government.
She is very observant?
Ava laughed. The nervousness she'd carried all morning eased just a little. Ethan picked up one of the books slipping from her backpack.
First day?
Is it that obvious?
You still look optimistic.
That is fair?
The three of them walked toward the entrance together. Neither Ava nor Lily noticed someone watching from across the street. Lucian stood beneath the shade of an old maple tree, hands inside his black coat pockets. He watched Ava disappear into the school. Only after she was safely inside did he finally turn away. From the rooftop of the abandoned building opposite the school, another pair of eyes watched him, patiently, silently waiting. The first bell echoed across campus. Students poured through the front entrance in every direction. Lockers slammed. Someone laughed too loudly down the hallway. Teachers called out reminders that nobody seemed interested in hearing. Ava stopped just inside the doors.
Overwhelmed.
A little.
Good. That means you are having the normal first day.
Lily pointed down the main hallway.
Office is that way. Science building is through there. Cafeteria downstairs. If you get lost, just look confused. Somebody will help.
That is the official school policy?
Pretty much.
A voice echoed from behind them.
Or you could ask us?
Ethan caught up carrying an overstuffed backpack over one shoulder. He held out a folded campus map.
I've been told I am legally required to rescue new students?
Who made that law?
I did?
And surprisingly, everyone ignored him.
The three of them laughed together. For the first time since arriving in Moonlight Falls, Ava almost forgot why she had come back. The principal's office occupied the oldest wing of the school. Photographs of graduating classes covered the walls. Ava wandered closer while the secretary prepared her schedule. Rows of smiling faces. Football team's drama club band. Year after year, one photograph caught her attention. Class of 1999. She stared. Lucian stood in the back row. Black jacket. Hands folded in front of him. Exactly the same face. Exactly the same age. Her smile disappeared. She looked at the next photograph, class of 1981. Lucian again. Then another. 1962 again. Samey expression, samey face. Not older, not younger. Exactly the same.
Number?
The secretary looked up.
Everything all right?
Who is that?
The secretary adjusted her glasses. She smiled.
Oh, that is an old joke around here.
What do you mean?
Every few years somebody notices. We always assume it is a family resemblance.
She returned to her paperwork, as though the conversation were finished. Ava wasn't convinced, not even a little. First period passed quickly. Then second, teachers introduced themselves. Students introduced themselves. Everywhere she went, people already knew her name. Not because she was special, because this was Moonlight Falls. By lunchtime, nearly everyone had welcomed her, some awkwardly, some enthusiastically, none unkindly. She was carrying her tray toward Lily's table when Ethan waved her over.
Over here?
Several students shifted to make room. Conversation flowed easily. Movies, homework, weekend plans, nothing mysterious, nothing supernatural, just teenagers. Exactly what Ava needed. She began relaxing. Then every conversation stopped. A student near the windows whispered something. Head slowly turned. Toward the parking lot, a black SUV rolled silently past the cafeteria windows. It didn't stop. It didn't park. It simply drove slowly along the road outside the school. Every student watched it.
Does that happen often?
Number?
Never.
The SUV disappeared beyond the football field. Conversation gradually resumed. But something had changed. Everyone seemed quieter, even Ethan. Lunch ended. Students poured back into the hallways. Ava lingered beside her locker. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching. She looked through the front doors. Across the street, beneath the same maple tree, Lucian. He stood exactly where he had been that morning. Hands inside his coat pockets, looking toward the school, not toward the students, toward the parking lot. Following the direction the SUV had gone, Ava hesitated, then started toward the exit.
Ava?
She stopped. Ethan caught up beside her.
Where are you going?
I just thought I saw someone.
Ethan glanced outside. Lucian was already gone. Only the empty sidewalk remained.
Everything okay?
I think so.
Ethan studied her for a moment. He wasn't convinced, but he didn't push.
If you ever need anything, seriously, just ask.
Thanks.
That is what neighbors are for.
He smiled easy, honest, then headed toward class. Ava remained by the entrance a moment longer. She reached into her pocket. Emily's folded note was still there. She unfolded it once more. Only one sentence caught her attention now. Ava looked across the empty street. She had a feeling Lucian was trying to tell her something. She just didn't know why. Far beyond the school, hidden among the cedar trees, Lucian finally looked away from the road. The black SUV had disappeared. For today, he closed his eyes briefly, then whispered into the quiet afternoon.
We're running out of time.
School ended beneath a sky the color of silver. The rain had returned. Light, gentle, almost floating through the air instead of falling. Students spilled onto the front lawn. Cars lined the curb. Parents waited beneath umbrellas. Lily caught up beside Ava as they walked toward the front gate.
So, first day.
I only got lost twice.
That is actually impressive.
I had help.
I'd like that officially recognized.
Ethan jogged over carrying a football under one arm.
Coach says practice starts early tomorrow.
Coach says everything starts early.
That is why he is coach?
I am beginning to understand this town.
Careful, that is how they keep people here.
They laughed together. For one brief moment, everything felt wonderfully ordinary. Lily's mother arrived a few minutes later. She waved from across the parking lot.
That is my ride. She turned toward Ava. You'll be okay walking.
The house isn't far.
Text me later.
You'll know if I don't.
I absolutely will.
Lily hugged Ava without warning. Quick, natural. Then hurried toward her mother's car. Ethan tossed the football lightly into the air.
I should go too? My little brother thinks dinner doesn't start until I get home?
That is strangely sweet.
He mostly wants my fries?
He smiled, then hesitated.
If anybody gives you trouble, tell me?
I thought everyone here was nice.
They are. He shrugged mostly.
He waved goodbye and jogged away. Within minutes, the parking lot had emptied. Only a handful of cars remained. Ava adjusted her backpack. For the first time all day, she was alone. She decided to walk home instead of waiting for Thomas. The sidewalks were quiet. Rain tapped softly against the leaves overhead. Main Street looked different after school. The bakery had nearly sold out. The bookstore owner stacked new arrivals in the front window. Simone played an old guitar beneath the awning of the coffee shop. The entire town moved at an unhurried pace, as though nobody had anywhere more important to be. Ava liked that. She crossed the town square, past the library. Mrs. Alvarez looked up from inside and waved. Ava waved back, then continued toward the old wooden bridge spanning Moonlight Creek. The creek moved swiftly beneath it. Rain scattered tiny circles across the water. She slowed. Something about this place pulled at her memory. Not a clear picture, only a feeling. Emily laughing. A camera shutter. The smell of wet cedar. Ava rested both hands on the old railing. The wood felt smooth beneath her fingers, almost worn by time, or by countless hands before hers. A quiet voice came from behind.
You remember this place?
Ava turned. Lucian stood several steps away. No umbrella, no backpack. The rain rested lightly on his dark coat, as though it belonged there. Neither of them spoke for several seconds. The creek filled the silence.
I thought you disappeared?
I usually do.
That sounds practiced.
It is.
Ava studied him openly this time. He looked no older than Ethan. Yet somehow, his eyes carried decades, maybe longer.
You've been following me.
Number.
I've seen you everywhere.
I've been making sure you arrived safely.
That is somehow more unsettling.
For the first time, Lucian smiled. Small, quiet, almost uncertain. It transformed his face completely. He suddenly looked exactly his age. Or, at least, the age he appeared to be.
That is fair.
Ava folded her arms. She wasn't leaving. Not this time.
My father says I should stay away from you.
I know.
My mother wrote the opposite.
Lucian's smile faded. He looked toward the creek. For a long moment he didn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice had become softer.
Emily trusted people too easily.
Did she trust you?
Lucian nodded once, without hesitation.
She did.
Did you deserve it?
He looked directly into her eyes. There was no defensiveness, only honesty.
I tried to.
The answer surprised Ava. She had expected denial or confidence. Instead, he sounded like someone carrying an old regret.
Did you know my mother? Well?
Very well.
Then tell me what happened.
The smile disappeared completely. Lucian looked away, toward the trees beyond the creek.
I can't.
Or you won't?
Both.
The rain became slightly heavier. Drops struck the wooden bridge in a slow rhythm. Neither of them moved.
I found photographs.
Lucian remained silent.
You were standing beside my parents. You looked exactly the same, 1999.
Lucian closed his eyes briefly, as though he had expected this conversation.
Emily kept that photograph.
She hid it?
That sounds more like her.
Who are you?
Lucian laughed once, not because the question was amusing, because it was impossible.
I've been trying to answer that myself.
That is not an answer.
Number, it isn't.
A gust of wind crossed the creek. The cedar branches whispered overhead. Lucian's expression suddenly changed. His eyes lifted toward the far side of the forest, listening not to Ava, to something else.
What is it?
You should go home.
You keep saying that.
And you keep ignoring me.
Probably because you never explain anything.
For a moment, Lucian looked as though he wanted to. As though he had spent years waiting for this conversation. Then whatever he had heard in the forest came again, too distant for Ava to notice, too clear for Lucian to ignore. He took one step backward.
Listen carefully.
Ava frowned.
If anyone tells you I am a monster, he paused, don't believe them immediately.
He met her eyes steady, gentle, almost pleading.
But don't believe me immediately either. Make your own choice.
Emily's letter echoed inside Ava's mind. The words were almost identical. She looked at Lucian.
Did she tell you to say that?
Lucian smiled sadly.
Numbers she taught me.
A howl drifted across the forest. Low, powerful. Closer than before. Lucian's head turned instantly. His entire posture changed. Alert.
Go home, this time, please.
Before Ava could answer, he stepped backward into the rain. Another step, another. The mist swallowed him between the cedar trees. He disappeared so quietly that it almost felt impossible. Ava remained alone on the bridge. The creek flowed beneath her. The rain continued falling. For the first time, she realized she was no longer afraid of Lucian. She was beginning to fear whatever made him leave. Ava didn't move. She stood alone in the middle of the bridge until the rain soaked through her jacket. The forest had become quiet again. Almost too quiet. Lucian was gone. Only the sound of Moonlight Creek remained. She looked toward the trees where he had disappeared. No footprints, no broken branches. Nothing. As though he had never been there, she rested both hands on the old railing. Emily had stood here, 17 years earlier. Somewhere nearby, the thought settled heavily inside her chest. Her mother had known this place. Known Lucian? Known something that nobody else would explain.
What happened to you, Mom?
The creek carried her question downstream. It did not answer. The walk home felt longer than usual. Clouds slowly covered the afternoon sun. The air cooled again. Ava turned onto the narrow cedar road leading toward the Parker house. Halfway there, she stopped. Somoli was standing beside the mailbox, Thomas still wearing his sheriff's jacket. He looked as though he had been waiting.
I thought you'd be home already.
I walked.
I noticed.
Thomas looked toward the forest behind her, not casually, carefully, checking. Only after several long seconds did he seem to relax.
You came looking for me.
Yes.
Because of him?
Thomas met her eyes. He didn't pretend not to understand.
Yes.
They walked toward the house together. Neither hurried, neither spoke. The silence between them felt different now, not empty, waiting. Ava opened the front door. Thomas remained on the porch, looking toward the trees one last time before following her inside. He locked the door, then the deadbolt, then the chain. Exactly the same routine. Every time.
Dad?
Thomas looked up.
I talked to him.
Thomas didn't seem surprised, only tired.
I figured.
He never threatened me.
I know.
He warned me.
I know.
He protected me.
Thomas slowly removed his sheriff's jacket, hung it on the old coat rack, then answered quietly.
I know.
Then why are you so afraid of him?
Thomas looked toward Emily's photograph hanging above the fireplace. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely louder than the rain.
I am not afraid of Lucian.
Then who?
Thomas closed his eyes.
The day your mother disappeared, Lucian couldn't stop it.
The words settled heavily between them.
You blame him?
Number, he shook his head slowly. I blame myself.
Ava didn't know what to say. Thomas had never admitted guilt before. Never. He sat heavily in the living room chair, suddenly looking much older.
I should have listened.
To who?
Thomas stared at the floor.
Your mother.
The room became quiet again. The grandfather clock ticked steadily near the staircase. Outside, wind moved gently through the cedar trees. Ava walked toward the fireplace. Emily's old camera still rested on the mantel. She picked it up carefully. It felt surprisingly heavy, A folded slip of paper fell from beneath it. She bent down, picked it up. Only 3 words were written in Emily's handwriting.
Another clue.
Thomas looked up. His face changed the moment he recognized the handwriting. He stood immediately.
You didn't know this was here.
Number.
He carefully took the paper, read it twice, then handed it back.
Keep it.
You don't want it?
I've spent 17 years looking backward. He looked gently at his daughter. It is your turn now.
Evening settled over Moonlight Falls. Clouds slowly broke apart. Moonlight filtered through the cedar branches. Ava stood at her bedroom window. This time, she opened the curtains without hesitation. Far away, beyond the dark forest, the lighthouse beam swept across the coastline, slow, steady, exactly as it had the night before. She remembered Emily's final instruction. The rain had stopped, yet the light still called to her. A movement caught her eye. At the edge of the forest, Lucian standing exactly where the trees met the open field. Moonlight silvered his dark coat. He wasn't looking at the house. He was looking toward the lighthouse, following the moving beam. Then something enormous stepped silently from the shadows behind him. A wolf, larger than any animal Ava had ever seen. Its fur shimmered silver beneath the moon. Its golden eyes reflected the lighthouse beam. The wolf stopped beside Lucian. Neither showed the slightest fear of the other. Lucian rested one hand gently against the wolf's neck. The animal remained perfectly still. Like an old friend, like family. Ava held her breath. The wolf slowly lifted its head, its golden eyes turned toward the Parker house, toward Ava. For one impossible moment, she felt as though it recognized her. Lucian followed the wolf's gaze. He looked up, across the distance. Their eyes met one final time. No words, no gestures, only silence. Then both Lucian and the silver wolf disappeared together into the moonlit forest. Ava remained at the window long after they were gone. Somewhere beyond the trees, a single wolf's howl rose beneath the stars. Not angry, not lonely. A promise. And for the first time since returning to Moonlight Falls, Ava understood one thing with absolute certainty. Her mother's story had never really ended. It had only been waiting for her to come home.